Hey, what is up, YouTube? Kolst here. We're here with Twitch chat as well. We would have a high YouTube emote, except OBS took away the ability to refresh the chat without restarting the stream. So I can't allow them to use the high YouTube emote, but they can still put things in the chat regardless to greet YouTube. But we are going to be covering 2 classes a day. This review will be for Rogue in this video. So let's talk about all of the Rogue cards. The first one we have here on the screen is Velorok Windblade. 3 mana 3/3 legendary. While this is in your hand, play 3 cards from other classes to reveal Velorok's true form. In Velorok's true form is Velorok the Deceiver, a dragon, 3 mana 3/6 with charge. After its attacks, discover a card from another class. It costs 3 less. So they have decided to start making charge cards again, which surely will not break the game. But I mean, in this case, this probably isn't. There's a couple weird things about this. It requires you to have a bunch of thief cards. You have to have cards from other classes. That's not going to be guaranteed to do, and until you do that while this is in your hand, this thing, it's terrible because it's a 3 mana 3/3. So that's going to make it pretty hard to make work. It's not unreasonable to get that many thief cards in Arena, but it's just, you know, there's a cost to having to wait that long potentially to be able to trigger this at all. It's really good getting what's effectively a 0 mana 3/6 charge with a discover attached. That's really good. It's just a little bit hard to do. So it's one of those things where if you have a whole lot of that thief package, it can work. The other problem is that Rogue tends to perform better when you really go tempo a lot more. If you overdo the thief thing, which this card is going to directly incentivize you to do, you tend to just die. It tends to just not work very well. And that's the problem, is that that's exactly what this card is making you do. So it's like theoretically good, but it's just, it might be a little hard in practice to actually make it work in Arena, I think. With that, we will move on to the next card here, which is Bounty Wrangler. 3 mana 3/4, quick draw or combo. Get a coin. Or does that mean you actually can only get one? Because in any case, it's nice that you can just coin this and get another coin, kind of like that one 2-drop existed. So it is or. Yeah, that's what that would imply, because otherwise it would say quick draw and combo, right? So you can only get one coin, so that kind of limits it. Obviously, yeah, I mean, the fact that you can combo it relatively easily with coin or something means you can get a 2 mana 3/4. The idea of this really is that you're going to, and it makes sense that they're restricting it, because we'll see in a few cards why they're restricting it. I don't think they want to give you like multiple coins in one card. It's a little bit too strong. So overall, and you can shadow step this too, by the way, in constructed. But yeah, I mean, it's a 3 mana 3/4. You're gonna get a coin a lot of the time. Even if you have to tempo it on 3, it's fine, but otherwise you're getting coin. There's the potential for the coin high roll, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But before we get there, we'll talk about Stick Up. 1 mana, stick up where exactly? 1 mana spell, discover a quick draw card from another class. This is going to be very good. There's a lot of quick draw cards. A couple things. It has to give you a class card. So there are not that many options to get from this. And they are all between 2 and 3 mana. I looked actually. This is the wrong place, but like they're all 2 to 3 mana. A lot of them are removals, and you guys can't really actually see them, but like a lot of them are removals and like single target removals. You can't get the rogue one, but like they're pretty much anytime you would want like just generally a reactive card, it'd be really good. And you also have like the value options, the Death Knight and Priest ones. So like these are the ones you're gonna be looking for. You just play this when you have like 3 mana and coin, or 4 mana, or any time later basically, and you just, and a reactive card would be pretty good. And especially if it's later on, you might want to try to high roll for those value cards. It can be really good too. But yeah, so it's just going to be, because you're getting the quick draw bonus like that, you basically just view this as like a really good 4 mana card basically. They're all going to be worth it because the quick draw is going to pay off the extra mana that you paid to get them with their quick draw bonus. So that'd be how you use that card, and it'd be a very good card. Next up, Shell Game. 3 mana spell, get a random epic, rare, and common card from other classes. Kind of weird to have this tied by rarity, to be honest. The way they say this kind of implies that you get like 3 different classes, right? It doesn't just say from another class, it says other classes, so you're probably getting 3 different cards from 3 different classes with 3 different rarities. And this is weird because it's just you'd have absolutely no idea like what you can even expect from this. You're not choosing any of it, so it's just really completely random. Overall, I think that makes it kind of like a meme. I mean, it's 3 mana draw 3, it's really good, but you're just not going to expect them all to be good, so it's probably more effectively going to be draw 2, but you're probably going to get one card that's really good. You can't get Titans from it, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view. So I think there's better ways to get value, but this is definitely fine if you're late on a draft and you don't have value. Yeah, sure, you'll want this. If you want the other class synergy to be activated and you don't have that, you can take this. But I think that makes it like on the weaker side of value generators. Next up, we have Wishing Well. This is that coin synergy we were looking at earlier, because this is 5 mana 0/7. After you play a coin, get a random legendary minion from another class and set its cost to 1. Half the time you could just save coin for it in theory, and I mean, this is just like one of those, I mean, this is just completely a complete random card, right? Like, it's just, you save all your coins, you play this, and by the way, you'll have mana since you coined, so you can play every legendary you get immediately. Unfortunately, I don't think this is bad. I think it's actually good on average. It's too good to not be like good. If you have any of these synergy, if you don't have like the coin synergy, it's useless, right? But like if you have a couple of those, you're gonna get legendaries. The risk is that you might just get like 2 mana legendaries, right? It could be bad, but more often than not, you're at least gonna get like a 5 mana legendary, right? And then it paid for itself effectively, and you got a legendary and a 0/7 that they might have to deal with eventually. Random legendaries can be bad, but they can be really good, and the issue is that it just doesn't need to be that good, because it's almost always going to pay for itself, I think. So it's too bad. It's not bad enough to be bad. I think it's actually like a reasonable card. It's just obviously you need to have some of that coin synergy, but just a card that's gonna be there. Next up, we have Dart Throw. 2 mana epic spell. Throw 2 damage darts at random enemy minions. If both hit the same minion, get a coin. So there's one very obvious way you can guarantee this, which is if your opponent has 1 minion. Then this is effectively an assassinate that you don't have to combo, and you get a coin. If they have multiple minions, you could still use it as AoE and not get that coin, right? If you don't have a Wishing Well, you're not going to care that much about the coin, so you could use this as AoE too. But you probably prefer to use this as an eviscerate on a single minion. Because you're a rogue, you can at least hopefully clear off enough their board that you could guarantee that if you actually cared. Overall though, I mean, it's just a good removal, right? It's more effective than like a multi-shot, even if you use it that way. It's always going to be good. Sometimes you're not going to quite get exactly what you want out of this, but it's just very good. Yeah, the rarity means you probably won't see it much, but they do sometimes just make epics commons nowadays. So it is possible you see it more, but this probably wouldn't be one that you would expect them to do that with, but yeah, we will see. Talking about cards that you will see a lot because it's a common 7/7s, 7 mana spell. Talking about better value generators, by the way. Deal 7 damage to a minion for 7 mana, which is inefficient by modern standards, but okay, because it also comes with draw 7 cards. This can allow you to just draft a whole lot greedier. First of all, you can discover this in any deck, which will, you know, makes an infinite value. 7 draws is actually to the point where it can make it difficult because it might be too much. You might be overdrawing, but that's not the biggest deal in the world usually. What this allows you to do, though, is just draft really, really light as well, so that you can just, you know, fill your deck with stuff like backstabs and other things that are really cheap and don't replace themselves because you expect to rely on these to draw it. Yeah. Sprint, by the way, was a card that was 7 mana to draw 4 cards, and now you have this. So, I mean, I don't think we need to say more. If you compare this to, like, I think you would argue this is more efficient than Ultimate Infestation. This is better than Ultimate Infestation, right? You don't get a 5/5 and 5 armor, but you get more draw and more damage. Doesn't go face, I guess. UI did, and that kind of matters sometimes. But efficiency-wise, I think it's still, you would still call it better than Ultimate Infestation. So, just to give an idea of how strong it is. So, it's very, very good. Next up, we have Bloodrock Co-Shovel, a thing that would fill in if you just need to play cards out of your hand. 1 mana, 1/3 weapon with Death Rattle, excavate a treasure. The Death Rattle can be annoying because that means it's slow. You could in theory dagger to get the excavate sooner, but regardless, you don't need to excavate on turn 1 anyway if that's when you're playing this. Otherwise, this is a very, very efficient card because excavate's better than a draw, and a lot of the excavates you have to pay a lot more than this. This is the least you're paying for like any excavate, I think, out of all of the ones they've shown. It's very, very efficient. The only downside again is that delay, but if you're late in the game, you can just dagger to prevent the delay and pay 2 mana instead. So it's just a very good card. Next up, you have Antique Flinger, 4 mana, 5/4 Battle Cry. If you've excavated twice, destroy an enemy minion. One thing that can make that previous delay very annoying, because it might delay when you can actually have 2 excavates done. So that's a downside, but obviously, I mean, this card is ridiculous. It's a 4 mana 5/4, very good, but then it also just comes with Assassinate, assuming you've excavated twice, which is not guaranteed. Generally speaking, there is an offering bonus on the new cards. They're probably gonna boost the excavate cards too, let's be honest. Yeah, this won't be that hard to do. And at the worst case, it's a 4 mana 5/4, but a lot of the times it's a 4 mana 5/4 that casts Assassinate, which is broken. And, you know, I mean, even if you have to wait for this, you probably don't want to Assassinate until later on anyway, right? So it's always going to be good. You're going to want to draft this every time, unless you just don't have excavates. And the last card we have here is Drilly the Kid, 4 mana 4/3 mech with Battle Cry, Quick Draw, and Death Rattle. Excavate a treasure. It's a legendary, so you won't see as much. But I mean, that is a hell of an excavate. By the way, did they have... So that is one of the excavates for the class. That does hurt that you don't have another class excavate that isn't legendary. That's going to hurt its availability for excavating in Arena, because you're just usually not going to have this, right? So that hurts, because all the other classes have 2 class excavates that are not legendary. Some of them are epic, but that does hurt to talk about like the excavates in general. But you can also get the neutral ones. But anyway, again, I mean, a 4 mana 4/3, it is off curve. The quick draw might be a little bit, you might not always be able to do that, but this thing's very efficient. Even if you lose out on the quick draw, it's still Battle Cry and Death Rattle. 2 excavates automatically triggers the other excavate if you have it. And yeah, just getting you that much further to the higher level excavates, it's really going to be really strong. Because almost always, by the way, I should mention what the class excavate is for Rogue as well. It is this one. That's the legendary. If you get the 4th excavate, 4 mana 5/5 Battle Cry, you get 4 random spells. If you've excavated 8 times, they cost 0. That's going to be really hard to do. Because honestly, to really get to 8, you'd probably have to like have this and Shadow Step it or something. So that's like going to be impossible in Arena mostly, to actually get them to cost 0, but still 4 mana 5/5, 4 random spells. Spells tend to be good. So if you get 4 random spells, it's going to be very good. But yeah, realistically getting to 8 is going to be nearly impossible. But yeah, this is a good card. I think it's pretty good for a legendary. Like, Rogue's another class that, I mean, they have certain really good legendaries, but you might take this over their Titan. Like, it might be good enough. Assuming you expect to get to the tier 4. It might just be better, actually. But you'd be pretty happy to have it, because, again, otherwise you're not going to be super likely to get to the tier 4 excavate very easily, and you're definitely going to want to try to do that. Then you'd probably want to draft Shadow Step as well to try to get the tier 8. But anyway, with that is it for Rogue. It's a very similar thing, is that Rogue tends to have a lot of weird kind of synergy cards. Like, you almost have to like try to go for the Wishing Well or something, but just the fact that Rogue has this card is going to do wonders for Rogue's viability for Arena, for sure. Because that thing just existing and being discoverable is going to, you know, make it impossible to run out of cards. So, with that is it for this review. Appreciate everyone hanging out, of course. As always, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.